name is Allison. I'm from Missoula, Montana. I am a skier and I was diagnosed in 1999. Starting when I was like 3 years old, I started having low blood sugars and fainted quite a few times, but never really had any high blood sugars, and kind of just happened every few months. And when I was 9 years old, I fainted. And they brought me to the school nurse, who's also my mother. She checked my blood sugar and I was low, so like always, I just drank some juice. And about an hour later, I didn't want to go back to class because I liked hanging out with my mom and getting all the attention. So I told her I didn't feel good and I didn't want to go back to class. So she was like, okay, we'll check you again. And I was like 170. So that was enough for her to kind of raise a red flag, and she brought me to the doctor and I was diagnosed. I started skiing when I was 2 years old, and it's kind of like the main thing that my family does together. I think I read about Sean in Diabetes Forecast magazine, an article on him just when riding on insulin was getting started. And I kind of looked him up, and they didn't have any camps in my area that year, and so I just kind of kept it in mind for the next year, and I looked it up again, and that happened to be when Molly and Sean located to Whitefish, Montana, which I live just 3 hours south of there. So I just signed up and started going to the Whitefish camp. So I mean, skiing affects your diabetes obviously because you're exercising. Where it gets more complicated is where I get into the backcountry. When you're backcountry skiing, you're getting yourself up the mountain. It's a lot of work, and your blood sugars can kind of go crazy. And so that's kind of the biggest challenge I have in skiing is actually when I'm ski touring and trying to hike uphill and manage blood sugars. I know kind of when I was learning about Sean, he was doing all these huge expeditions, and I kind of always thought it was impossible to do tours that big, you know, days where you're hiking 12,000 feet in one day. Something I'm still kind of working towards. And so Sean is kind of an inspiration in that regard, and then also just kind of learning from him the things he thinks about when dosing and figuring out his blood sugars, you know, things I had never thought of, like temperature and elevation. Even if you've never skied before, you know, it's a great opportunity to not only learn a little bit about skiing, but do it in an environment where you're with other people who are learning, but also with other people who have diabetes. So when you have to stop and check your blood sugar, you're not the only one doing it. Everyone's doing it in a group, and it's kind of integrated into the activity rather than you having to opt out of the activity, like if you were doing this without other diabetics. And so I think that even if, you know, you find out skiing's not for you, just the people you meet and the things you learn, I think I learn more from talking with other type 1s in a day than I will ever from doctor appointments, to be honest.